Hi, I'm Anna, and this is Tucker, and we hope you're having a great day. So today's video is a bit of a kitchen sink video. I have several topics that I want to cover, most important of which is how many books I read this year and which were my favorites. But first, I want to talk about where I've been the last couple of months. I know that in November, I only posted a few long-form videos, and in December, I haven't posted any so far besides this one. I posted one short fairly recently, and otherwise I've been really MIA from this channel. And I do apologize. Life just really caught up with me, and I have a lot of things going on, and something had to give. So I'll go into that a little bit more in just a couple minutes. I did work on something like kind of amazing, I think. So I have a pretty good reason why I've been a little absent, but I'm looking forward to kind of getting back on the bandwagon and back into the groove of creating more content as we end 2025 and head into 2026. The bulk of this video is going to be going over kind of what my reading year looked like, asking you what your reading year looked like, and going over a few of my top favorite books, a few honorable mentions, getting into a few stats of the books that I read over the year, touching a little bit on my personal journey that I went on both in reading and with this channel, and ending with sharing kind of what is coming next. And so with that, let's get into it. So if you're wondering where I've been, let me tell you. The big headline is lots of life things happened. Lots of different life things happened, and they all kind of converged in the last 2 to 3 months of the year. First, the obvious, holiday chaos, right? We all have it. I am a busy mom of 3 kids, and part of this was me taking some time off to spend that time with my family. We did Thanksgiving dinner, we did Christmas tree shopping and decorating and holiday shopping. And actually, one of the videos that I did post in November happened to be about one of my holiday shopping trips. If you are interested in that holiday shopping experience, I will leave a link in the description box below to that video, and you can check that out. Reason number 2 is, for some reason, I decided to go on a teeny tiny, not so teeny tiny side quest, and I decided to write a book. It's a story that I've had kicking around in my head for quite a while, and I could never really figure out how I wanted to tell it. But there were a lot of things that converged in my life towards the end of the year, and it just became this thing that I needed to get out of me. I needed to get it out and onto virtual paper. It's a domestic thriller because I've been reading a lot of thrillers this year, so I think that's the kind of mode my brain was in. Let me know if you would like a video about my writing journey and about the novel itself, and kind of, more things about the side quest. Leave me a comment below, and I will be happy to make a video for you if that is something you're interested in hearing about. Also, I just want to note that this is not turning into an AuthorTube channel. It is still firmly going to be a booktube channel. I just might do a couple of videos talking about the writing process and stuff like that, but the majority of the videos will remain booktube centric. The next thing that kept me from booktube, honestly, there were a lot of kind of very personal crises that sort of happened in my life all at the same time, and they really just took my time and energy, and my focus needed to be with my family and not so much on social media. So I hope that you can understand that, those things pop up every once in a while. And so because of all of that, my health took a nosedive. And that was kind of like the final nail in the coffin as far as a lower number of videos coming out at this point. All my brain space was taken up on the other things, and I just didn't have time to make videos. I honestly didn't even really read. I finished 2 books in the last 2 months, one in November, which I had started in October, and then one in December that I had been looking forward to coming out all year. But that one was even like kind of difficult for me to finish in a timely manner. Not because I didn't enjoy it. It actually made my top 5 favorite books of the year. Just, it didn't have the brain space for it. I hope to be a little more consistent in the new year and get things going again. So let's get into the meat of the video and talk about my reading year in review. So despite all of these things going on, I was able to read 53 books this year, which might not sound like a lot, but it actually happens to be quite a big accomplishment for me. So if you're new or you haven't been following my journey for very long, let me catch you up on some quick context that you may have missed. 9 years ago this month, in fact, December, I was in a serious car accident. I sustained multiple injuries and, that impacted my life permanently. One of those major injuries was a major head injury. I had a severe concussion, and that concussion led to permanent brain damage. And so after I was in the car accident and I had the head injury, I couldn't read for 5 years. Prior to that, I had been an avid reader my whole life. So all of that had to stop after my accident. I was in a bad way for a very long time. And one of the things that I couldn't do was make it through a book, let alone like a chapter. And I tried in the beginning. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did. And I failed miserably. It's not that I forgot how to read. I didn't. I just couldn't physically do it. It was too taxing. It was just too much for a lot of different reasons. A few years ago, I decided to force myself essentially to read. And I spent 2 or 3 years reading nothing but children's books, children's and middle grade books. The reason why 53 books is a particularly big accomplishment for me this year is this is the year that I decided I was going to make the jump from children's and middle grade books to adult fiction. And I decided this back in December of 2024. And in January, I decided to pick one of them up and try. And I had a few false starts, I'm gonna be honest. But the first book that I read this year to completion also kind of was one of my favorite books that I read. And so I'll get into my favorites in a few minutes. If you want to know more about that part of my reading journey, I actually did an entire video on it several months ago. I think it's called like Getting Back into Reading After Injury or Illness. But I will leave a link to that video in the description box below. Feel free to check it out if you are at all curious. So let's get into talking about what I actually read this year. I usually love statistics, and I do have a few basic stats for you, but I don't really get anything from, number of pages read or like amount of time it took, or, a lot of the typical numbers that a lot of other booktubers give to you. So I apologize for that. Honestly, those numbers are very interesting to hear for other people, but for me personally, they don't really do a whole lot for me, motivation or otherwise. But I do have a list of how many books I read in each genre to go over with you, which I actually find quite interesting because being an eclectic reader, a mood reader, some people call it, it's kind of hard to know like where you're trending for a particular month or even year, right? A year is 12 months, and you might forget about books that you have read this year, which I kind of did. I do keep a running list on my phone as far as like when I start a book, when I finish it, and like kind of how I felt about it. And so I went through that list and I categorized all the books that I read. Some of them are in like multiple categories. So if you add up the numbers that I'm about to tell you, it won't add up to 53. And I didn't do math there, just so you know. So nobody calling me out on all those numbers don't add up to 53, Anna. I know that they don't. But I read books that were like thriller, but also like mystery and sci-fi and like a little bit of like fantasy, like I don't know. So I kind of double, triple counted them. But looking at my notes, So as a reminder, I read 53 books this year, 18 of which were either a thriller or a horror or thriller horror, something like that. 13 of those were fantasy or romance. And a caveat on that, I know that there is another genre that combines fantasy and romance, and that genre is romantasy. I am not talking about romantasy books here. The books that I put in this category either like trend heavily into fantasy or romance, but there isn't like a whole lot of romantasy in there. And the fantasy that I did read, none of it was high fantasy. I can't do high fantasy because of my brain injury. So I do a lot of grounded in our world or enough of a world that I recognize type of fantasy. So that's my definition of fantasy, just so you know. I read 7 classics, 6 historical fiction, 4 literary fiction or speculative fiction, whichever one you want to call it. I kind of think they're not exactly the same, but in my brain, I put them in the same bucket, if that makes sense. I read 3 cozy mysteries, which is actually a little on the low end for me. I usually read a few more cozy mysteries, and 2 memoirs, which is actually kind of a lot of memoirs for me. I'm not a real big memoir person. A couple of other stats, 12 of those books were audiobooks, and 3 of those were DNFs. But now that I'm thinking about it, there might have been 4 DNFs. Maybe 3 or 4. And there is no shame in a DNF. If you can't get through a book, you can't get through a book, right? No sense in spending your time reading books that you are not enjoying. So here's the big takeaway that I want to impart to you, is that being a reader isn't about how many books you read in a year. It isn't about how many books you read in a month, how many pages, how fast. I know we all love the stats, we all love the numbers. But I personally believe that at the end of the day, being a reader has nothing to do with that. What it is feeling a connection to stories and books in your heart, in your soul. Being moved by what you're reading or what you're imagining or something like that. Seeing life through someone else's eyes, whether it's the author's eyes or, through a character who is speaking to you, through the author kind of thing. But to me, that's what being a reader is. So while stats are very interesting, it's not a competition. Don't hold yourself to a standard that you can't meet. I know that there are lots of booktubers that read 200 or 300 books a year, or read 20 books a month, or some staggering number, and that is fantastic for them. And we celebrate them, and I'm very happy and proud that they have the ability and room in their life to do that. But I don't, for lots of various reasons. Even at my peak, I don't think I could read like 100 books a year. I'm just not that fast of a reader. And so wherever you ended up this year in your reading journey should be celebrated, whether that was 1 book, 5 books, 25 books, 105 books. It doesn't really matter. Let me know in the comments below what your final tally is, and if you have a goal for next year. All right, so I'm really excited to share with you my top reads of the year. And, in some regard, 53 doesn't seem like a whole lot to choose from. But honestly, when I was going through my list of books, it felt like a lot, because I was like, ooh, I like that one. Ooh, I like that one. Wait a minute. I'm only doing top 5. And I put 10 in this list. That's problematic. But I have decided on 5 top books of the year for myself. So just a caveat. Just because they made my favorite books of the year list does not mean that I rated all of these, at 5 stars or 5 paws or whatever. Some of them were 4 or 4.5, something like that. I chose the books on this list because in some way they spoke to me personally, and I really enjoyed it, and I really, identified with them in some way. So that is my definition of favorite. And of course, I would highly recommend all the books I'm about to tell you about, because they were amazing. All right, so this isn't exactly in any particular order, although I'm going to start with what my most favorite read was of the entire year. The books after this are not necessarily in any particular order. So my top read, my most favorite read of the year, was actually a horror novel, which is surprising for me. But it was The Mean Ones by Tatiana Schlotté-Bonnet. I can never figure out how to pronounce this author's last name, so I apologize if I have not pronounced it correctly. But I originally read this as an ARC way back in like May or something like that, a long time ago, and I loved it. I think I actually rated it like 6 stars. I did do a book review on it. It's buried in a reading wrap-up, but if you want to know more about this book, you can go and check that video out. But basically, this book reminds me of a mixture between the show Yellow Jackets and the Upside Down in Stranger Things. This was my first time reading this particular author. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. It was very fast-paced, very well written, so I highly recommend if you like thriller or horror novels. You should check this one out. So the next book that I really enjoyed this year is actually not released yet. It's another ARC. It is Cleopatra by Saara El-Arifi. So this is one that I finished in November. I started it in October, finished it in November. This is a new take on Cleopatra. It is told in the first person. It is told from her perspective. This story does such a good job of blending fact and fiction. I couldn't tell the difference between the two. I actually had to do some research afterwards to figure out, like, okay, what was for the plot and what really happened. But the other thing I really loved about this book, 2 more things, is that because it's told in the first person, you feel like you're going along with her in her life. And the author does this amazing thing. Every once in a while, she breaks the 4th wall, and Cleopatra speaks to you a few moments in the book directly, which I find fascinating. It doesn't happen very often in a lot of books that I read personally. The other thing is, she's a very inventive twist on what happened to Cleopatra when she died. And let me just say, I didn't see it coming. The clues were there the whole time, because as soon as it was revealed, I was like, oh, that's what she was getting at. But I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's an amazing book. So this book will be released on February 24th, 2026. So if you love Cleopatra, if you love anything ancient Egypt, I highly recommend you go and pick that book up. All right, next on my list is another ARC that I read very early on. It is not released yet, but it is also coming out on February 24th, 2026, and that is All We Have Is Time by Amy Tordoff. This is a historical fiction / fantasy / science fiction book. It is told in, it kind of feels like it's a dual timeline, but it's not exactly a dual timeline. It's like time hopping, maybe, is more accurate. So the book is a love story across time. It's been compared to V.E. Schwab's, oh my gosh, what is that book? Something about burying bones in the soil, midnight soil, something like that. I'll find it and I'll put it up on the screen. It's been compared to that. So it's very similar. So if you liked that book, you might really like this book. I thought the writing was very beautiful. I thought the story was gripping. I think I cried a couple of times. It was very, like, it really had me emotionally. So if you like those types of books, I highly recommend that one as well. Another recent favorite of mine is actually the book that I look forward to every year because it is the latest in my most favorite series that is currently being written. The series is called Her Royal Spyness by Rhys Bowen. So she released in November her 19th book in the series called From Cradle to Grave. If you've never heard of this series and you love cozy mystery and you love Downton Abbey, I highly recommend checking out the first book in the series, which is called Her Royal Spyness. And I love this series of books because there's such a wide cast of characters. And after you read the first couple of books, the cast of characters gets wide enough that you never know who's actually going to show up in the book. Because sometimes some people make a huge appearance, sometimes they only make a cameo, and other times they don't even show up at all. And so you never quite know what you're going to get, which is, you know, a hallmark of a long-running series. So I highly enjoy it. So check that out if you at all love cozy mysteries. And my fifth favorite book of the year was actually As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the third book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. And I loved all three of the books, but this was my favorite of the trilogy. And I think it's because all of the seeds and threads that were planted way back at the beginning, and maybe even in the second book, that I didn't realize were meant to be kind of series spanning, get addressed here in this kind of amazing way, at least for me. I really enjoyed it. It is quite a chunky book, but it's a fast read, and I just really enjoyed the whole trilogy. Is great. I did a video on the entire trilogy. If you want to know more about it, I will leave a link in the description box below for that one. And I just have a couple of quick honorable mentions to tell you about. The first of which is the first book that I finished this year. This was my first adult novel, you know, returning back to adult reading, and this is Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz, who was an actress on the very popular show One Tree Hill, which I loved watching when it was on. So this is a memoir of her time in Hollywood and also being in a cult at the same time. So if you love reading, hearing about cults, and you think the convergence with Hollywood would be interesting, you should consider picking this one up. Another honorable mention was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I love the Hunger Games series, and so, you know, I was very excited to get Haymitch's story. I listened to it on audiobook, which is why I don't have it in hand, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was very well written. The audiobook is amazing, so if you haven't checked that one out, I highly suggest you do that one. And my last honorable mention is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I happen to be very lucky and get this one as an ARC, so I read it very early on. I was a little scared to read it because that one is a romantasy, and I was a little worried it was going to be like too high fantasy for me, but it actually wasn't. It had enough basis in like Greek mythology adjacent, I guess, and so it was familiar enough to my brain that I didn't struggle too much. I have not read any of the other two books in the series. This is a prequel to Divine Rivals. You don't need to have read the other ones, by the way, to enjoy this book, but highly recommend it. It was really good. So I just want to take a few moments and talk about kind of the state of my channel. And I think I did a lot of this early on in my booktube newbie tag and a couple of early videos. But, you know, things have changed. So I started this channel 9 months ago, back in March of 2025. And at the time I started, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nobody knows what they're doing when they start on YouTube. If they say they know what they're doing, it's either because they have previous channels or they're lying to either you or themselves. I'm not really sure which. But I was very awkward on camera. I'm kind of like still a bit awkward. I ramble way too much. Sorry, by the way, I think this is another rambly video. Sorry. Recently, in the last few days, this channel has crossed the 300 subscriber threshold, and I just want to take a moment and say thank you very much. I want you to know how much I appreciate all of the people who subscribe and like and comment and share and, you know, interact with me or say hi to Tucker or, you know, just in some way in the channel. I really do appreciate it. I read every comment. I love answering comments. I love having a conversation with you. If you're ever like worried about being shy about leaving a comment, don't be, because I'm the shy person on the other end. When I watch things, I am hesitant to comment. I'm that person. but I've been trying to do better. Like I said, when I started this channel, I had this nebulous idea of what it was going to be, which is to say I did not have any idea what it was going to be. But I wanted to have a place to possibly make friends who are in the bookish community and love to read books, because I don't have a lot of people in my personal life that share the joy of reading. So sometimes we have to look to the internet for that. And so I've really enjoyed it. My son said something really funny to me when my channel was really close to reaching the 200 subscriber count threshold a while back. He said, "Mom, when you reach 200 subscribers, you should do a Q&A." And I said, "I don't know about that. I mean, 200 seems like a lot, and it is, and I'm very grateful for all of them. But I feel like that's not enough for a Q&A, because not everybody leaves a comment." I think I'd only have 3 questions to answer. And so he said, "Okay, when you reach 300, then I want you to do a Q&A." And I said, "Okay." So I have now made my son this promise that I am going to do a Q&A because I've reached 300 subscribers. And so now I am asking for your help. I need some questions to answer. So please do me a huge favor and leave me a question or two in the comments below. I will collect them, and then I will do a Q&A video in January answering all your questions. And it can be, a wide variety of topics, reading books, but it also doesn't have to be. It can be about, life or Tucker or dogs or, I don't know. Don't ask me why the sky is blue. I draw the line there. But, any question that comes to mind, I would be more than happy to answer. So, please help me out, because otherwise I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just have to answer a bunch of questions my kids make up, which is definitely not that interesting. It's far more interesting if I answer your questions. And so, like I said, when I started this, I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I like classic books, so I'm gonna make a video about 25 classics to read in 2025, and that was one of my first videos that I did, and it also became one of my most popular. I think a lot of you out there probably found me through that video. So thanks for sticking around, by the way. But one of the biggest surprises has actually been my haul videos. People seem to really enjoy them. And so it's kind of turned into this whole saga. I made 6 haul videos this year, which is amazing. I need to stop buying books because I've bought several, lots of them, and I have not read nearly as many as I should. So one of my goals for next year is to work through my backlog a little bit. And speaking of hauls, if you are not up on my haul saga, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description box below, and if you feel like it, you can go check it out and see how I am constantly failing to stop myself from buying books. Speaking of, one of my next videos coming out is another haul, because yes, I said in my last video that I was going to stop buying books for the rest of the year. And that didn't happen, although I did not buy a substantial amount of books. I bought far less than I normally do, but I have a couple of L-Crate unboxings to unbox, and I don't know, I have 10 books that I've hauled over the last 2 or 3 months. So that video is coming very soon. And looking ahead into 2026 and beyond, I am planning on kind of getting back on the bandwagon and being a little more consistent in the videos that I post. I'm probably going to do a new list of classics to recommend to you to read in 2026. It'll be a completely different list than last year's list, but if you're interested, you can go check that one out. I will also leave a link in the description box below. Probably more hauls, I don't know. What kind of content would you like to see? Please let me know in the comments below. I have several more arcs that I have been approved to read, and so I have started to work my way down that list. And I recently started one of those arcs. It is called How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. So I think it's thriller slasher rom-com situation. I'm only a couple of chapters in, but it's very entertaining so far. So let me know what you are planning to read either right now or at the beginning of next year. I'm always looking for new book suggestions and you know, new genres to kind of branch out, or new authors or whatever. So let me know what you've been reading. I am super curious to know. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video. I know that I rambled a lot and I touched a lot of different topics, and this was like not a normal booktube video. So I apologize for that. I mean, let me know what you thought of this video. Say, Anna, oh my God, never do one of those again. This is a terrible video. Or if you love it, you know, say, Anna, yeah, kitchen sink video every once in a while. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I hope that you enjoyed watching. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel so that I know that you like this video and that you want to see more. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the bell so that you get notified when I put new videos up. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.